30 for 30 when I shoot, 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 shoot. Man, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to be reacting to DJ Vlad on rumor Allstar J was arrested by feds on his way to DJ Vlad interview. That was the word. We don't know if it's true. Vlad might be working for the feds right now. Who knows? But let's see what Buddy talking about.
All right. Welcome to the greatest show on earth, VladTV.
Yeah.
This time, we're going to start.
This shit cringy too, that this nigga likes being interviewed on his own platform. But it's just cringy as hell. Vlad just do weird shit to me. Like, I don't understand.
A little different. We're going to put you in front of the camera because breaking news, Allstar JR, he's in major headlines. He's been in the headlines for the last week and a half, 2 weeks. There's been rumors that he was picked up by the feds yesterday, if I'm correct. And the blogs are reporting that he was on his way to California to do an interview with you.
Well, he was on his way to do an interview with Vlad TV, but not in California, in Detroit. So we had, the last couple of days, we had talked to Allstar J. I think you were involved in the process.
I was.
In terms of booking him to do an interview to talk about the whole situation. So we set a date, we set a time. It was going to be in Detroit. I wasn't going to be there. It was going to be remote.
True.
Right? So in that case, I try to do interviews in person, but I don't always get to do it. So in that case, it was going to be a remote interview. So earlier that day, we had a conversation about some of the topics that we're going to cover.
It's just crazy because it'll all line up. It just, when niggas do shit, it's just fishy because it's like the nigga was out here popping his shit. He start talking to you about doing an interview or whatnot, and all of a sudden he gets knocked by the feds. It just be looking bad on Vlad's side because it's like, nigga, are you orchestrating this shit? Did you put this shit together? I know it's probably far from that, but just the way it looks, it's like, nigga, this is all bad for real.
In the interview. And the conversation wasn't taped. So if the feds want any level of cooperation from me, I'm already not cooperating. Right. I'm going to be pleading the fifth. I always protect my guests. I have a long history of this. If you look at, for example, the Keefe D situation, Las Vegas PD tried to get all my raw footage. I refused. There's a Jimmy Henchman situation where they wanted my footage. I also refused. I would lawyer up and I would fight situations like this. So I'm not cooperating on any level, and I'm not going to talk about what we talked about in our phone conversation. But the whole thing was we were setting up an interview for later that day. It was supposed to be at 7 o'clock Detroit time.
Yes, that's true.
So the studio was booked. My man Mafi set it up. You were involved in the process as well. Everyone was excited to do it. 7 o'clock rolls around. I'm hitting up Mafi. Yo, what's going on? Where's he at? Oh, and he's going to be there at 7:15. And he actually forwarded me a text message, which we'll show on the screen, from Allstar J saying he's running a little bit late. It's going to be 7:15. All right, cool. 7:15 comes around, nothing. 7:30, 7:45. Now we're not even getting an answer from him. 8 o'clock rolls around. I'm like, well, I guess we're going to cancel. We gave a 1 hour grace period. I don't know whether he got cold feet or something happened, but at the end of the day, he didn't show up, so we canceled. And then I think maybe about an hour after that, I get a text from Mafi from Allstar JR that said that the feds picked him up, which is horrible. It's a horrible situation. And
it's dead ass fucked up. Like I said, it looked bad on Vlad, but like he said, he never handed over no information when the police or the feds was asking. And that could be true. But just with all the history of the bullshit, it just looks bad. For real, for real.
I could tell you that I had absolutely nothing to do with that situation. If the feds wanted to pick him up, they probably would have waited once he got to the interview location.
Right.
And if they wanted more info out of him, they could have just waited for the interview to be done.
Well, the fact of the matter is they didn't know what the interview location was. That was all proprietary information that existed between yourself and him, Mafi, and I.
Yeah. Yeah, I had no idea any of this was happening. It's a messed up situation, but I am not working with the feds. I did not cooperate with the feds. I had no involvement in this. We had already booked the studio. I was looking forward to doing the interview.
It's funny because he had to immediately get on his platform and say this because that shit spread like wildfire. So he had to hurry up and put a fucking end to that rumor ASAP. For real.
Then this situation happened, and a lot of these like blogs are saying, you know, Allstar JR arrested on his way to a Vlad TV interview, and kind of implying that somehow I had something to do with it.
Right.
And I could tell you that I had absolutely nothing to do with it.
And some of the blogs are even saying that he was on his way to California.
He was not on his way. No, he was not
as
on
if
his
he
way
was
to
arrested
California.
on his way to the airport to come to see you.
No.
None of that is
He was
true.
already in Detroit, and he was on his way to a Detroit studio that we had already booked.
Right.
That's what it sounded like. He was on his way to California.
And even the studio was hitting us like, yo, what's going on? And we're like, we don't know. We have no idea.
So let me ask you a question, Vlad.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that people are constantly and consistently trying to label you as a cooperative in some way solely because you're interviewing people? It is, in my mind, it's not your fault. Your job as a content creator and as a journalist, right? And I'll use the word journalist because that is essentially what you are and what you have been for over 2 decades. Why do you think people blame you for, or because the people you interview may say something that may be incriminating about something that they were involved with or something that somebody else was involved with? Why do they constantly blame you versus putting the onus of responsibility on the people who you're interviewing?
Well, I think that I was the first person in this space to start asking the hard questions that hip-hop media historically has always been scared to ask. So if you look at my interviews from 2008, I think I did...
Them shits ain't hard questions people scared to ask. Them shits is incriminating questions that motherfuckers didn't want to ask, nigga. That's the difference. They didn't want to ask incriminating questions, nigga. Not the hardest questions, nigga. Nice try, but no, nigga. Not at all.
He applies.
Didn't
he
work.
was like, yo, man, you the police? Like, you know, this was back in 2008.
Well, I tell you, this is police shit. Hey, Russell, don't you send nobody over here, man.
Niggas big calling this nigga out for that police shit.
Do some police interrogation shit, I'm telling you.
Because the way I looked at it was, if you're going to sit down with somebody, why ignore the elephant in the room?
Right.
If this person's whole persona is built on this gangster image, why not talk about that? If all their songs are about this, if all the stuff they're doing on social media is about this and everything else like that, why not ask about it? Now, I'm very careful about the way that I do ask about it. So people like to say I'm the feds and all my interviews end up getting men arrested and so forth. The only time I've ever heard of my interview being used in someone's case was the Keefe D situation, right? That trial hasn't even started yet.
Right.
So that's not even confirmed.
Nigga, what it is you know the question that you're asking. You just say because of the shit that they portray in their raps and this and that, you're asking those questions. You don't have to ask those questions. You can ask their upbringing, different types of shit. You don't have to ask the exact, do your research on the exact situation and ask them that, because some clout is a hell of a drug. Some people can't control themselves. They just yap. They trying to prove something, trying to make their image bigger. And they not even that intelligent when it comes to doing like interviews. Niggas don't be having publicists and shit like that to know the right shit to say. So it's like trick questions. You get them comfortable and then you ask them some shit about some shit that you know about, that you did your research on to get confirmation. So you know what you're doing. It's like trick questioning. Like, why would you ask something that you know would incriminate somebody? And these people are coming from, they don't really know. They just on the interviews now, it's more known like, oh, you talk that shit, you might get locked up. The feds is coming. But for the most part, you playing trick questioning games on niggas for real.
Right.
But in that case, Keefe D wrote a book about his involvement in the Tupac murder, and I did an interview based on his book.
Based on the book. They missed the book part though.
They missed the book part.
They missed that in the book.
Book was already on Amazon. There's
Right.
links to the Amazon book in that first clip. So apart from that, people like to say that I'm involved in this person's arrest, that person's arrest. You could ask the actual people who I'm being accused of, and they'll say that Vlad had nothing to do with it. Taxstone, Vlad had nothing to do with it. Casanova 2 times, Vlad had nothing to do with it. You could go on and on. All these people, if they decide to do crimes after my interview is completed, or if they had done them before the interview was done, which we did not discuss on any level. Because I'll talk about someone going to prison and doing their time because you've earned the right to talk about that crime based on the amount of life you've given up in that jail cell.
Right.
That's it. There's no double jeopardy in America.
Right. You can't be.
They can't say, well, you talked about it again, so we're going to give you another 10 years. Right. No, you did your 10 years. Now you could talk about it. If it's past the statute of limitations, you could talk about it. If you talk about being a gang member when you were 18 and you're 40 now.
Right.
Like I remember with Casanova 2 times, they're like, oh, look, Vlad talked about him being a blood. And now he gets arrested. Well, yeah, he was a blood back then, but what he got arrested for had nothing to do with him being a blood back then, before he went to prison for some other shit.
That shit he was talking on the interview, though, maybe made them start looking in more like, oh, you are that type? You were that level? Like,
had to do with new crimes he did years after our interview was completed. We only did 1 interview. But people like to put pieces together and so forth. And the reality is I was the first person to do this in this space.
Right.
Now it's very common. You have the Traplo Rosses of the world, and you have the No Jumpers, and you have, podcasts that just focus on crimes.
Right.
So now it's common, but I was really the originator, so I think I take the most heat.
Yeah, you take the most heat. And I think it.
And that's not cool, but I'm not going to just talk down on Vlad. Vlad's good at what he does. And now that it's more known, like he said, that these people are out here trick questioning, you should know better now. It's no excuses. So Vlad is a good journalist. He's good at what he does. He's a good interviewer. But the trick questioning part, Vlad knows. He's a smart guy. He knows. Like he said, he knew what he was doing, but he's going to try to make it seem another way. But like I said, he's good at he's good at his job. And now people should be smart enough to know that those type of questions are coming and you don't answer those. Next question. Because it's people that have been on here and didn't say shit.
A situation where people are trying to throw rocks at the throne. They know that in order to get to where they want to be, they have to go through VladTV. And that's probably, most likely, never going to happen.
Well, there's always going to be someone that's going to overtake you in one way or another. Yeah. And there's lots of great podcasts out there.
I like that you're being you're being relatively polite.
Well, it's not that I'm being polite. Like, I embrace these new generations.
Right.
Like, I've never been the hater in this space that tries to belittle everyone else and tries to stunt on the next generation. Like, ask Charlemagne. I was the first person to put him on a mixtape when he was still local in South Carolina. Before Wendy Williams found him, before he had the Breakfast Club. Like, I was seeing the talent in Charlemagne and featuring it on bigger platforms. Traplo Ross, Academics, Adam 22, Sean Cotton. All these guys I've featured on my show. All these guys I have relationships with. All these guys we talk to each other and compare information and build and help each other out. None of us compete against each other, and these guys are all younger than me. Oh.
Yeah, that's cool. But like I said, the trick questioning thing, but it's 2026. Like, people should know better. Don't go in there running your mouth, telling all your business, your past crimes. Don't say nothing because they're going to use all of that against you. They giving out Fed cases like regular cases now. That shit is crazy. But Vlad ain't have nothing to do with Allstar being locked up and shit like that. But, it sound good, so everybody gonna run with it. But make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It's Mr. 30. I'm out.